The CDC is rolling out its roadmap for schools to reopen after the coronavirus shut down classrooms nationwide, displacing millions of students. The Federal Health Agency issued updated COVID-19 guidelines for the best way to resume classes while protecting students and teachers. Here's a look at what they include. Desks at least 6 feet apart, staggered arrival times, cloth masks for staff, and daily temperature screenings for everyone. Joining us to discuss, you'll see that list there, is Kathleen Porter-Magee. She's a superintendent partnership schools, a nonprofit network of 7 urban Catholic schools in New York City. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's great to see you. We know a lot of students are wanting to get back to the classrooms, and we know a lot of parents feel the same way. The CDC's plan comes after weeks of delay and an internal debate over whether the guidelines were too restrictive. Do you think this should be a one-size-fits-all strategy?
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. The short answer is no. I think there is no way we can have a one-size-fits-all strategy. We have thousands and thousands of different kinds of schools and districts across America. We've got large urban districts like the New York City Department of Education, which serve thousands of students. And then we have smaller private school networks like mine, so partnership schools. We serve about 2,000 students, K through 8, in 7 schools in Harlem and the South Bronx. So we're going to face much different challenges in reopening than a large urban district. So what we're going to have to do is figure out what are the guidelines, the public health and safety guidelines, and then how do communities adapt those guidelines to meet the needs of their faculty and staff and their students. There's just no way to come up with one solution that fits every community.
Right, and you're working with those smaller Catholic schools, at least in New York City. Potentially you could speak on the Catholic schools across the nation, some of which won't be able to reopen in the fall, and you've got a reason for it. What is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is the financial hit, right? As it was, especially in states that don't have access to public funding for private education, they don't have vouchers, they don't have tax credits. This economic hit is going to be devastating. I think some people are estimating between 100 and 500 Catholic schools closing because of coronavirus. As it is, Catholic schools, especially those that serve our most vulnerable, are usually operating on a shoestring budget. They are scrappy, they are community-driven, they are doing more, and they are doing it with far less. But in a moment when families are hit so hard by this economic devastation, Catholic schools are the ones that are going to lose tuition, they're going to lose support. And unlike public schools and unlike charter schools, we don't have a guaranteed stream of revenue. And so I think it's really going to be devastated. And we're worried about the sector, and we're trying to find creative solutions to make sure that these important institutions, many of whom I know our oldest school has been serving in the South Bronx since, before the Civil War. We want to make sure that we make it through this pandemic and that we emerge stronger than ever.
Yeah, another group of students who we want to focus on are those with special needs. They might need extra attention from teachers. Their learning environments might need different things just to help them get through the day. What's that going to look like post-COVID?
It's going to look completely different. And that actually gets at a really important point and why we can't have a one-size-fits-all solution. Schools are going to have to get creative. Communities are going to have to get creative to figure out who are the most vulnerable. We expect that the coronavirus is still going to be spreading in the fall, so we're going to have to be flexible, and we're going to have to make sure that the students who are most vulnerable and who need the greatest accommodations, that those are the ones that we are serving, and then we're cascading downwards. And students with special needs, I think, chief among them. But that's, again, why we need to figure out what are the guidelines, and then how can each community figure out the most effective and efficient way to meet those guidelines.
Well, I know a lot of people watching, they might want to do their part to maybe help out here and encourage people to get back in those classrooms. Your organization has been running a unique campaign to support kids. Tell us about that.
We've been so fortunate. We have a really committed group of donors, and what they did, one of the first things that we did 3 things when the coronavirus hit on Friday the 13th in March. The first is that we committed to paying all of our faculty and staff, including our hourly employees, throughout the shutdown. And the second thing we did was create a COVID-19 relief fund. And so we raised money so that we could provide direct support to the families we serve. As I mentioned, we serve 2,000 students in Harlem and the South Bronx, and they're some of the most vulnerable students in New York City. The average income level of the families we serve is about $26,000 a year in the most expensive city in America. So that COVID-19 Family Relief Fund allows us to get financial help to the families who need it the most. And it's really been heartwarming. I have to say, the resilience of our communities and our families is amazing. It's really incredible what you can do when you bring together a committed group of communities and leaders. And it's amazing the service that you can provide.
Really quick from you, Kathleen, a message to students out there who want to get back to school?
Hang in there. We will be there soon. We miss you, and we can't wait to see you in person in the fall.
All right. I know so many people feel the same. That's Kathleen Porter-Magee. She's the superintendent at Partnership Schools. Kathleen, thank you so much.